Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name's Lisa. It is definitely canning season right now, and today I'm just preserving some of my garden harvest. I've got some Roma tomatoes, some Serrano peppers, and some potatoes. I'm going to be processing them today, and it's definitely going to be a full day in the kitchen for sure. Thankfully, I got everything washed and prepped the day before, so I should be pretty much ready to go. The first thing I'm going to work on is my tomatoes. Turning them into a sauce. I use it like as a base for whatever I need for like pasta sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, just basically whatever. What I like to do is cut the stem off the top and cut them in half and roast them in a 375 oven. I don't know, 40, 45 minutes, something like that. And I don't really do anything fancy. I don't add any garlic or any onion or even salt, really. I just do plain old, tomatoes. And I ended up getting two trays out of this batch, and I also had some left over for some salsa that I want to make, which was great. I was happy about that. And then I'm gonna work on my Serrano peppers after this. Now I know to some people this might seem like a really small harvest, but for me this is pretty standard size. This is my third one of the season so far, about this size. And honestly, I'm just really thankful that it doesn't come in all at one time, because I would just be lost. I wouldn't know what to do if it all came in at one time. Um, so doing all of this stuff, it just takes so much time, like the prepping and the cleaning and the chopping and the measuring and all of it. And I have found that the only way I can get all of this done is just by letting everyone know, hey, this is the day I'm going to be working on my veggies. I can't really do anything else. I'm going to be in the kitchen the entire day. Um, I found that that's really the only way that I can possibly get it all done. Now, see, I've gardened for years, but for a long time it was a hobby. It was just something fun to do in the summer. It wasn't until recently that I really decided that I wanted to grow real food for my family and actually learn how to preserve it. I've said it lots of times. I just really don't love what's in the grocery stores anymore. And if I can avoid buying it, I will. I just will. I just don't like it. Um, but here's the thing, if I want better food, I have to grow it myself. And all of that takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. So now that I got my tomatoes roasted in the oven, I'm going to start on my serranos. All I do is I just trim the stem off the top, and I just can them whole. Vincent likes them whole like that, and it's easier to use them like for salsas and cooking and just whatever. What I like to do is slice up some white onion and a few garlic cloves and some carrot, and I make a brine, and I just put it all together with some pickle crisp, and the pickle crisp just helps the pepper from getting real mushy while it sits in the jar. Because we don't go through them really fast, but we do go through them. And, I just don't want them to get mushy when they're sitting there. Even though it's a lot of work, it's that kind of work that just really feels worth it. To me, there's something really satisfying, in seeing the whole process through, from, starting the seed and planting it in the garden to bringing it into the kitchen, processing it, and putting it in the freezer or the pantry, and then cooking it and eating it. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something good here at home, something that really matters, that's going to make a difference in our life. So, since I have committed, like 3 or 4 years ago, I committed to, preserving food. Every season has taught me something new. Some things I had to learn the hard way, like last year, but I don't want to talk about last year. I really don't. And some things I've learned by accident. Um, But I'm still figuring it out. I'm figuring out what works not just for me, but what works for the garden and uh, just life, and what doesn't. And even though it's a lot of work, this is the kind of stuff that I'm really proud of because it has taken me a while to get this down. Now, my grandma used to can her garden every year. Corn, green beans, tomatoes, you name it. She canned it. But she passed away when I was still fairly young before she ever would have had a chance to teach me how to do it right. So I have just kind of learned it myself. It's not something that my mom done. Um, so I just kind of had to learn myself, and I just watch videos and read articles and blogs and different things like that. And you can read all the articles and you can watch all the videos you want, but until you do it the first time by hand, yeah, you don't really know what you're getting into. So, it's been a process. It has definitely been a process. But you know what? It's something that I really love, and it's something that I plan on passing down. I keep trying to get some of my girls to come over here and can with me, but they're just so busy with their lives, they just don't have time. So, I work on the grandkids. If the girls don't want to learn it, the grandkids will. They're not going to have a choice. They're too little. I'm just kidding. But no. Um, like my oldest grandkids, we make dandelion jelly or honey. I call it dandelion honey. In the spring, we did it last year and we did it this year, and I think it's something I'm going to do with them every single year. They love going out there and picking the dandelions with me, and then we just make a tea out of it. So they really like it, and it introduces them to canning, and it's a skill that if they learn it young enough, they won't even remember learning it. So these potatoes I got, these are from a voluntary plant. And from what I understand is usually when you have a voluntary plant, you only get like a couple of potatoes off of it. But as you can see, I got quite a few. I want to say maybe they're like white russet or Yukon Gold. I'm not really sure, because I always plant different kinds just to see which ones grow the best here. And those are a couple of the ones that I planted in that area over the last couple of years, but I'm not really sure which one they are. Maybe it's a hybrid of both. I don't know. But I got 3 pounds of usable potatoes out of them. So in my book, if I would have even just gotten one potato off that plant, I would have felt blessed. So I was really happy about that. So I just cleaned all the dirt off of them, put them in a little vinegar water and let them soak for a few minutes and then drained them. Now my tomatoes are nice and cooled off now, and I'm just gonna make a sauce out of them. And like I said, I didn't add garlic or onion or anything to them, um, so that way I can just use them for a base. And I'm just gonna use my immersion blender, and it's the skin and everything. I like doing it this way because I feel like I'm not wasting as much. And then I just blend them up till they're nice and thick, and I put them on the stove and I cook them, I don't know, like an hour or so, just until the foam doesn't come up anymore. I let them cook for a good long time, get some of the water out, and let the foam come up, and I take that off, and that's just impurities. So I get that out of there before I jar them. And sometimes it takes like 45 minutes, sometimes it takes just a little bit over an hour. But yeah, that's how I do it. I absolutely love being able to stay in the kitchen for an entire day like this, just processing my vegetables and, making delicious food for my family because I know exactly where these tomatoes came from. I know the seeds that they came from. I know what ingredients are in the food that I'm making with it. And that is a really good feeling. That is something that, really makes me feel very, very good. So when Vincent and I were first married and we started having kids, we always lived in apartments and in rentals. So there was never really a place for a garden. And it wasn't until we moved into our last house that we actually had room for a garden. And like I said, that was just kind of more hobby gardening. And then when we moved into this house, is when I kind of really started taking it a little more seriously. And then about 3 years ago, I was like, you know what, this is it. This is what I want to do. I started really learning about ingredients and food and things like that, and I just decided this is just what I really want to do. I don't want to buy tomato sauce from the grocery store anymore unless I have to. I mean, if I have to, I have to. You know, you got to show yourself grace. But if I can get away with it, I'm not going to do it. But here's the thing. So when I decided to do this, like seriously, like really commit to it and take it seriously, you know, my kids were grown, some of them were married, one of them already had a baby, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It was a real change for the family. So everyone was just so used to me just being available. Um, I've had jobs here and there or whatever, but this is a real commitment. This kind of lifestyle, trying to live a more, they say it's a simpler lifestyle. It's not very simple, but you know, it's a real change, and my family had to get used to it. So I had to learn to um, start setting kind of boundaries around my time during certain times of the year, like planting season and harvesting season, and days when I needed to work in the garden, like weeding and whatever. And so I had to start really learning how to set boundaries around that time. And that was definitely a learning process for the whole family. And honestly, once I started setting those boundaries, I noticed that, you know, I didn't feel as rushed. I didn't feel as stressed. I wasn't trying to squeeze in, you know, 10 different other things at one time. And when I give myself time to do the work, it feels really peaceful instead of overwhelming. I think this garden has kind of changed the rhythm of my days this year, anyway. I plan a lot of things around working in the garden, harvesting, canning, um, and it's just kind of become the flow of the home. And honestly, I like it. This season feels a lot different. I'm definitely more intentional, and I'm way more organized, and I'm actually planning a lot of stuff instead of just scrambling. And, you know, it feels pretty good to see that kind of growth. I think what it is too is just that my family has gotten used to it as well. So when the family is on board, you know, it always makes things a lot easier. So this is my salsa I'm gonna make, and I just boiled the peppers and the onions in the tomatoes, and I boiled the peppers and onions just till they were tender. Oh, here's Miss Ma'am. Yes, we got our first tooth this week. She had a heck of a week this week, guys. She had an ear infection, she had a tooth coming through, and a virus all at once. So she had a pretty rough week, but she's feeling a lot better now. Thank goodness. Um, but yeah, so my tomatoes, I just boiled them until they split, and then I just took the skins off of them, added some cilantro and some garlic, and whipped it up in the food processor. Now, I did add a tablespoon of lemon juice to each jar just to make sure there was enough acidity, because I was putting the cilantro and the onion and the garlic in with the tomatoes and peppers. And then, you know, added a little bit of salt on top and jarred it up. I processed it for 15 minutes. But so I was saying about the family, I think that they're used to it now. I think after, you know, 3, 4 seasons, they're finally used to it. And I feel like everything is just kind of becoming a rhythm now. So I'm really happy about that. The one thing that I need to stop doing though, really, is biting off more than I can chew. I feel like, you know, I'm still kind of dealing with learning how to slow down. So just because I have 10 minutes of extra time doesn't mean that I have to fill it with something to do. And I'm just kind of learning that. So, you know, I talked a little bit last week about how we're swapping the bedrooms around for more structure in the house. Well, we've actually got that started. I'm not sure when I'm going to put a video about it up yet. It's not really done yet. Um, but yeah, so I got that started. So on this day when I'm filming, My dining room is just full of furniture and boxes and whatever, and the rooms are moved, but nothing is organized, nothing is put away. And at this point, on this day, I have no clue when I'm going to get it done. So that's something I really need to work on is better project management, I guess. No, I don't know sometimes. But anyway. So I just want to say thank you very much if you've watched my video this far. Um, I always tell you how much I really appreciate your time, and I really, really do. Time is valuable, obviously. And, if you choose to spend your time with me, I want you to know how much I really appreciate it and how much I understand how valuable your time is. If you enjoyed the video, I would just ask you, give me a thumbs up. Helps, get the video out there a little further. And if you think maybe you would like to see some more of my content, you can just hit the subscribe button and you'll know whenever I have a video up. So yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you very much for watching. Now, as you can see, I'm working on my potatoes now, and I'm going to show you that I got just a little over 3 pounds of usable potatoes after taking off the peeling and taking out any bad spots. And those bad spots are just from my pitchfork, where I accidentally stabbed the potatoes when I was digging them out. So I had to cut those out. But yeah, I was so happy that I got 3 pounds of potatoes that I didn't expect. So with my potatoes, all I do is just cube them up. Well, I peel them and I cube them up, and then I blanch them a little bit, and I flash freeze them in the freezer overnight, and then I bag them. I like to put them in like a 1 pound bag if I can. See, I told you I'm gonna start with the grandkids. They're gonna learn to do this stuff when they're so young they won't remember learning it. No, actually what happened was she busted her little head. She was playing with a toy and she doesn't have real great motor skill yet. She's only 8 months old. And she busted herself in the head, so she was crying. And I was like, "Come on, you want to come with grandma? You can help me work on the potatoes." And so she came with me. So here's the pass off back to dad. And she's happy now. She just I always say she's just so nosy. She just always wants to see what you're doing. And so if you're just busy and you just hold her while you're busy, she's just happy as lark, you know? And it's just precious. But yeah, so that's all I do is I just flash freeze them overnight in the freezer, and then, I bag them. And like I said, I'd like to put them in a 1 pound bag. And because I cube them, they can be mashed potatoes, they can be like fried hash browns. You can even use them, for potato salad or whatever, just whatever. Sometimes I cut them up into fries, but a lot of the times I just cube them. I'm like a hash brown, a fry, it's all the same thing. And sometimes I like to make potatoes O'Brien, with the peppers and the onion. Very good. Yeah, so and since everything is done, I'm done canning and I'm done with the potatoes, except for, once they're frozen, I got to put them in a bag. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean up my kitchen because, you know, you know, I've been in here all day doing stuff. So, uh I feel like that's a really important part of the whole process as well is the cleanup afterwards. You're kind of looking out for your future self. I don't know. That's just how I think about it. I just know my future self will appreciate it if I go ahead and clean now. It has definitely been a long day, but it's been a really good day for me. This time of year always just keeps me really busy and hopping and on my toes. But it also keeps me grounded in all of the important ways. And on a day like this, I just really love ending the day with a clean kitchen. After all the canning and the processing, it just feels good to reset the space and to know tomorrow I can start fresh again. This is just the rhythm of the season right now, just being busy and processing food and harvesting food and growing food and doing all the things. That's just life this time of year. And I am very, very grateful for it. I'm really glad that you guys are following me on, this journey of learning about grace. and self-love and self-care and all of those things. This has been a really long journey for me this year. And to this point where I'm at today, I feel so much more put together, I guess you could say, than I did this time last year. A lot of it is due to my family. A lot of it is due to my husband. A lot of it is just due to being able to make these videos. And I really appreciate you guys following me along. And I don't know, I'm hoping maybe, I don't know, if you need to, you're learning something yourself as you go. Maybe don't feel as lonely or something. I don't know, you know. But yeah, this is a good thing. And in this day, I felt very accomplished when I walked out of my kitchen. It was clean, it was put together. I had fresh food that I grew, that I prepared, that I processed, sitting on my counter, and it just felt really good. Okay, guys, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and finish cleaning up this kitchen, and I'm gonna let you go for now. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much again for watching, liking, commenting, and doing all the great things that you guys do. If you think you might like some more of my content, which is just kind of homemaking content, just hit the subscribe button. So we are still working on the room swap, and I will have at least some of it up real soon. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after. It's it's taken a long time, especially since the baby got sick and all this harvest stuff come in. And so we're still working on it though, and I will have that up for you guys as soon as possible. Until then, I just hope you guys have a really great day, and give yourself some love, give yourself some grace. I will let you go, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.